Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Bounce Live, and today we are joined by the amazing Carol Sargent. And Jamie, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, a subject that I may consider quite personal to me. It's speaking about disabilities and the word disability. Now, Carol is, her niche, her speciality is dementia. But the word disability is so broad, so large, and yet people shy away from it. And we want to really bring that up into the forefront. So, Carol, listen, welcome to the show. When we asked you for this title, and you said, "This is what I want to speak about. I want to speak about the word disability and about disability as a whole." I instantly engaged. I was instantly in with it. Where are we going with this as a subject? What is it that we really want to bring to the forefront?
For me, it's about us using the word disability in a way that it's an everyday word that people just recognize that there's a challenge that a particular individual has to overcome, and that we're working towards how we overcome it, rather than being embarrassed that I have a disability, I need some support, I need some help.
And you said something very much similar before. So before you were disabled into a wheelchair, you never used the word, did you?
No, absolutely. I mean, I've lost my hearing. I wear glasses, although I should wear them a lot more. I now spend a lot of my time doing this. But I wear hearing aids. I'm also quite severely neurodiverse, severely dyslexic, and severely dyscalculic. And yet I never actually thought myself disabled until the day I woke up paralyzed and ended up in a wheelchair. And yet what I've learned since then is the pinnacle symbol of disability is the wheelchair. And yet out of the, 16% or 18%, I think it is now, of the UK population alone, which is registered as disabled, only 6% of those actually use a wheelchair. So the numbers don't add up, but yet disabilities are so massive. And we're starting to see it more now where people are going, not all disabilities are visible. And I think that's a very big message. But some disabilities are a lot more crippling than others. And certainly dementia, which is where the field that you work in. So I think if people were to talk more about disability and other subjects as well. I mean, don't get me started on menopause. I'll sit down and have a conversation with anybody about menopause, but I'll also sit down and talk to anybody about disabilities, because I think the more we talk about it, the easier the subject is to understand, to acknowledge, to normalize, And I think this is why I mentioned the menopause thing, because women go through childbirth and pregnancy, we go through puberty, and we'll talk about it. People talk about it all the time. Yet a woman goes through menopause, and it's like this big taboo subject that no one wants to speak about. And it's like, what that's ridiculous. Then someone becomes disabled, and it's like, oh, no. And the other thing I get is, sorry, I told you I'd get on my sandbag about this, Carol. I told you at the beginning. Something else that really irritates me, and it really irritates me, is when people go, "I'm really sorry that you're in a wheelchair." It's like, really? Do you know anything about my life? Do you know anything that I've achieved? Well, I'm not sorry I'm in a wheelchair. So I'm going to hand the baton back over to you now, Carol. But
no, you
really strong with you.
What you're saying absolutely resonates with me. One of the things I discuss when I'm doing my dementia travel and tourism workshops are things like, wouldn't it be nice if you went into a restaurant? You can't go to a restaurant now without being asked, do you have a food allergy? Is there anything I should think about? Wouldn't it be nice if that we had an environment where people are able to ask, do you have an invisible disability that we need to consider? And that people are comfortable enough to say, well, yes, actually, I'd really like to have a seat beside the toilet because I want to know I can find it, in the time that I need. But where we're not there in people being comfortable in answering just now. And, that was a discussion I had this morning. We have a Monday morning group with people living with dementia where we discuss different things to support them to enjoy travel and tourism. And we were speaking about precisely that. And they said, well, a lot of them were pretty, outspoken and, wanted to continue to live their lives, and they didn't mind asking, but there were some things they would be uncomfortable because they felt people would treat them differently. But a lot of their peers weren't as confident in reading the things that they really needed to support. And that's where I think we have to change things. And to me, one of the groups that are the worst are older adults. As far as I'm concerned, if you live to become an older adult, you will have, I'd reckon, at least 2 or 3 minimum invisible disabilities. But older people don't use that word at all.
I think it's all of everything that we've spoken about so far in this episode has been all about how we can educate. And by using the word disability and just like you said, if you can go to a restaurant and say, is there anything we need to, maybe you need the menu in a big font, maybe you need to listen to it because you whatever it might be, it will just make it so much easier. And I think all that education around it is what's needed for it to be normalized.
I think as well, certainly talking about like restaurants, you don't necessarily need to say, you don't need to come up and go, hi, my name's Jamie, and I'm more than happy to help you if you've got any invisible disabilities, because that almost creates its own level of potential awkwardness. But we went to a pub the other day, yesterday for a meal, and there was a big sign on the side of the door saying, we are pooch friendly, which meant we could bring the dog in and we could go, hi, I've got a dog, she's a bit anxious, do you mind if we go and sit over in the corner? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, go and grab that table over there out the way. If they had a big sign saying, we are disabled friendly, right? Then that would almost open the gates up by saying, I've got a disability. Do you mind if I just sit over there because of my disability? And guarantee that then, so no one is ever going to go, no, you're not allowed to go and sit near the toilet because you've got a disability. They're not going to do that, right? But it just allows an easier space for that conversation to have, rather than it being an awkward conversation. And I think we got to try and break that awkward down a little bit.
Yeah, because when you break down the awkwardness, then the staff will be happy to ask because they feel like they can, because it's not strange. Because there's so many things that we've noticed, especially when you're out in a wheelchair, that hasn't been thought of. And why not invite people that actually have the disability to be able to say if it's working for them or not? So that's very much the work that you do within your field, isn't it, Carol?
Yeah, and I think that's where, people tend to have a particular assumption about dementia. They assume it's all about, forgetting things, not being able to remember. But actually, because dementia can, damage different parts of your brain, people living with dementia can experience just about any of the, accessibility concerns that anybody with a disability has. And that's why, in many ways, I think it's really important for the dementia community to link in more with the disabled community, because sometimes businesses don't have the capability, because their venue may be listed, to make the types of adaptations to be fully wheelchair accessible. But there are other adaptations that they can make for other groups. And that's where, dementia is an opportunity. If you can start the dialogue with that group, you can get it right for many, many more people. And, that's where I wonder, sometimes if we just focus too much in our own individual groups with a particular disease or a particular challenge, and we don't connect more about, actually, if we all said, like British Rail, you can, when you book a seat in the train, you're asked, do you want to sit near a toilet? That's just a given. Nobody thinks anything about that, do they? But collectively, we could all do that in restaurants, couldn't we?
Yeah,
number of people that want that, and that's really simple.
And the best thing is, there's plenty of people that don't want to sit near the toilet.
Yeah, exactly, and that's.
we do have to end the show, right? But I think I want to leave away with a set one-line thing for someone to take away from this. A one-line message. What would you say that one-line message would be, looking at the subject that we're talking about today, Carol?
Really interesting. We were speaking about this morning at the group, and it was asking the person what adaptation allows them to live their life.
Yeah.
And for you to welcome them to your business, your venue, but ask what adaptation they want, and think that's the thing. And then you get to know the person.
And you actually be surprised at how many people will open up about things.
Absolutely.
And make it much more a better environment for everyone.
So look, I do have to end the show. So that was a great final point. For anyone else watching in, the Disability Fund, or Purple Money, within the UK alone is worth £80 billion. And if you want a little bit of that, then you may need to tune in to these shows to find out more, or connect with someone like Carol. It's been absolutely fantastic. Don't go too far away. I want to say a massive thank you to Carol. Don't go far away, because we've got more shows coming, and we'll see you soon, very soon. Take care. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.